Happy New Year, everybody. The January 6, 2016 board meeting is now in session. Please rise for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies. Being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2.03 is approval of the minutes. Mrs. Nally.
I move that the board amends the minutes of December 16th, 2015 to reflect a vote of 9-0 on item 5.03, tentative 2017-18 school year calendar.
All those in favor? Okay, the minutes have been amended per the motion. Item 2.04, establish. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended? Second. All those in favor? Now we're approved. Thank you. Item 2.04 is establish agenda order, and the agenda will stand as published. Item 2.05 is recognitions. We have a presentation from Teresa Tudor.
Good morning. I am Teresa Tudor, Senior Manager of School and Family Partnerships, and I have the pleasure of introducing this morning's board recognition. But before I begin, I would like to ask members of the board and Dr. Arlotto to please come forward. Members of the board and Dr. Arlotto, among the definition of the word legacy in the Merriam-Webster dictionary is this: something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. Today we are pleased to honor two people and a program that are leaving an incredible legacy for children at Tyler Heights Elementary School. For the last 6 years, the Backpack Buddies program has provided weekend meals, coats and hats, blankets, and summer camp for children at Tyler Heights. As you may be well aware, Tyler Heights serves many children from families who have difficulty making ends meet. Nearly 90% of the school's students receive free and reduced meals. Backpack Buddies was the brainchild of Terry and Brenda Shaner. Today, with a core of dedicated volunteers, the group helps make the difficult possible, and in the process allows children to focus on academics and not obstacles. Each week, children receive a backpack filled with 7 meals for the weekend. In the winter, they receive coats, hats, and blankets that they may otherwise go without. In the summer, some are financially supported to go to camp. The program was a natural, I think, for Terry and Brenda. He had retired after serving as a pastor of Woods Memorial Presbyterian Church for 27 years. And she had retired after teaching students at Rippling Woods and Edgewater Elementary and being a Right Start advisor. After 2 careers filled with caring for others, and Backpack Buddies was a natural extension for both of them. Brenda's dedication to Tyler Heights came from a deep love for her devoted friend, Faye Daniel, the school's former principal who died in 2010. During Faye's illness, Brenda promised that she would take care of Faye's babies, or heroes as she called them. The passion, dedication, and enthusiasm has been contagious, and the program has continued to thrive despite illness and even loss. Brenda passed away in December. After a long illness, the legacy of love, caring, and compassion that she, Terry, and dozens of other volunteers have imparted and continue to impart on the Tyler Heights community will teach positive lessons for children, to their children for years to come. It will continue in large because of Brenda, who spent the last year of her life making sure that they continue to impact the people and programs that were so dear to her. With all the negative news in the world today, we need to take a few minutes to celebrate legacies like this one. Not just today, but as often as possible. Backpack Buddies has set a standard for others to follow. So this morning, I am very pleased to tell you at our volunteer tea this spring, we will present the first annual Brenda Shaner Legacy Award to a person, group, or organization presented not just to helping students in the present, but imbuing them with a legacy of helping others in the future. As Terry and other members of Backpack Buddies and the Tyler Heights staff come forward, please join me in thanking them for everything that they do for our children. Their family is also here. Family, you can come up. Their grandson came from Moscow to be with us today, so we want to make sure that the family comes forward as well.
Please excuse my voice, everyone. Just now, let me see if I can see this. Okay, everybody, look at this place for 3 photos. And you can hold your award, open it up, and yes, sir. There we go. Okay, here we go, everyone. One more shot. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, 2.06, is Educator of the Month, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Ms. Korbelak. Visual journaling is a very personal and creative way to express and record life's experiences, feelings, and emotions. It is a way to awaken and provide an outlet for creativity. It's about believing in yourself, celebrating your life, and it's a way to help students feel alive and expressive. Enter our Educator of the Month for January, an amazing art teacher at Southern High School who has taken the visual journaling movement to a whole new level. Libby Kozlowski's Foundations of Art class is an entry-level course where students get a first taste of how to incorporate reading and writing into the art curriculum in meaningful ways. Every student in her class learns to make a handmade sketchbook from scratch. From the sewing to the bookbinding, she is taking the process to a level that rivals what students do in the honors level studio art classes. This not only encourages high-level thinking skills, but it supports the school improvement plan by working with students to visually and verbally work in a sketchbook, visual journal daily, and make that a part of their studio practice. Libby has taken it upon herself to step up in many ways during her tenure at Southern in support of school community. In addition to being part of the Bulldog Block Committee representing the art department, she's taken an active role in creating live Google documents for the school's annual fall face painting fundraisers. Additionally, she's encouraged numerous students to participate in community service hours in art, going above and beyond her regular classroom duties. Last month, Libby and her art club students helped out with the National Art Honor Society's annual creation of hundreds of handmade sketchbooks donated to the Los Angeles Good Shepherd Domestic Violence Shelter just in time for the holidays. In addition to her talents as an artist and an educator, Libby is a great all-around person. Her colleagues enjoy working with her as she collaborates well with the entire department. She communicates effectively with staff and students, and she is always on track to have a really amazing year. Libby Kozlowski, you initiate outstanding programs for your students and for the Southern High School community. You promote positive changes in the growth of your students, especially through your visual journaling lessons, and you exemplify the best of what is expected from educators in our school system. So on behalf of the Board of Education, the students, staff, and teachers of Anne Arundel County Public Schools, we are pleased to recognize you, Educator of the Month for January 2016. Congratulations. Will you join me up front?
Libby, we're going to take pictures at the break, so stay around for a few minutes. Item 2.07 is Employee of the Month, Mrs. Burge.
Thank you. Today, the Board of Education honors an employee in our school system who can juggle many top priorities in her head, and she does so with grace and a sense of humor. What's more, these top priorities are not necessarily her own. They belong to other people, but she gladly accepts them as her own. Carol Alderman, Principal Secretary at Jones Elementary School, redefines what it means to be highly willing to assist others. She always puts a personal investment in assisting the staff and students at Jones, no matter what is needed. Approaching her desk with a question or concern, one is always left feeling like a satisfied customer. No matter what Mrs. Alderman is in the midst of working on, she manages to make you feel like your concern is in fact her top priority. If she can't answer your question immediately, she responds in such a timely and pleasant manner that one hardly has time to realize there was a question at all. Upon fretting that buses may not have been ordered for a field trip or that the occasional form has gone missing, teachers rush to Mrs. Alderman with each and every concern, only to find out that she has already taken care of each and every one of them. Be it superior telepathy or, more likely, her incredible attention to detail, Mrs. Alderman watches over the staff at Jones from behind the scenes and keeps the school running like a well-oiled machine. Carol Alderman is a true team player. She usually has the answer before you even ask the question. She gets the tasks done in a timely manner and can remain calm in sticky situations. There have been periods of time where her coworkers went into retirement or were out on maternity leave, and she was able to do double duty, scheduling teacher observations, setting the principal's schedule, ordering supplies, helping with payroll, attendance, power teacher gradebook, and chancery, still doing the job of the principal's secretary, but filling the shoes of the school secretary as well. And all this is done with one thing in mind, for the love of Jones' children and teachers. Carol Alderman, the teachers at Jones consider you to be their anchor. You are steadfast in your commitment to ensuring that the needs of all students, parents, teachers, and staff are met with the greatest amount of courtesy, respect, and kindness. You make everyone's concerns your top priority. So on behalf of the students, teachers, and staff of Anne Arundel County Public Schools, the Board of Education would like you to know that today our top priority is you. Congratulations on being recognized as Employee of the Month for January 2016, and please join me up front. So, Carol, congratulations. How are you today? Here's a certificate for you. And the bell that has your name on it, you can keep your desk or bring home. Maybe you can call everyone in school. So how did they get you here today?
I was told there was trouble in paradise, and I was here for support.
And who came with you to support you today? And some other folks came
Oh
in.
my goodness. My brother from West Virginia, my teacher, my mother, my son-in-law, my sister-in-law, my brother, my son, his girlfriend, my mother.
Apparently, everyone can keep a secret.
Apparently. Doesn't any of them
And they probably kept it there for the holidays, too. That's remarkable. Well, thank you. Everyone loves you, and thank you so much for all you do for our children and for our teachers. We really appreciate it.
Item 2.08 is Volunteer of the Month, Mr. Horskamp.
Thank you. Volunteers who enrich our school community come from all walks of life, but it's exceptional when a full-time college student consistently devotes over 6 hours each week to a school. Mr. Aaron Moon, you are that exceptional volunteer at Nantucket Elementary School, and so today the Board of Education is proud to honor you as the January Volunteer of the Month. According to Principal Sarah Pickens and Assistant Principal Megan Edwards, Aaron Moon is an extraordinary individual and a man of many hats. In addition to his volunteer service at Nantucket, Aaron is a language arts education major at Bowie State University and works part-time for Old Navy, one of Nantucket's community business partners. Aaron meets one-on-one twice weekly with students who need a positive male role model. The trusting relationships he builds with these students help them to be successful throughout the day and feel connected at Nantucket. Aaron also supports various school and county initiatives even after school hours and on weekends. He packed food boxes for Harvest for the Hungry and weekend snacks for Backpack Buddies. He participated in Watch Dogs, was a guest speaker for the school's Kids at Hope talk series, and jogged the Girls on the Run 5K. Aaron supports diverse community throughout his attendance in morning achievement group and day-long field trips with international families. He and his two Old Navy supervisors are key to the store's partnership with Nantucket Elementary, including sponsorship of a family at Christmas and other initiatives throughout the year. Miss Edwards reports Mr. Moon is simply the most conscientious, dependable volunteer and mentor we've ever met. He already displays attributes of a professional educator with great focus and people and communication skills, and is respected by teachers and students alike. 6 members of the Nantucket School community wrote letters of recommendation for this award, including this one. My name is Ryan, and I'm a 5th grader at Nantucket Elementary School. At the beginning of 5th grade, I was still having trouble getting my work done. In August, Mr. Aaron started helping me with my independent work. Now, my grades are better, and I'm understanding what I'm reading better. Mr. Aaron makes me feel smart and happy, and helps me focus on what I'm doing. He is not important to me. He is not just important to me. He is important to other students and teachers at our school. Mr. Aaron is helpful, kind, and trustworthy to everyone. He makes our school much better. I hope Mr. Aaron can still help me next year in middle school. Principal Pickens writes, the school improvement team recently agreed with one teacher solution to help students with repeat office referrals. We need to get more Aaron Moons. If every school could have just one Aaron Moon, they would be blessed. Thank you, Mr. Moon. Would you please come forward with great appreciation? I present this Volunteer of the Month certificate to you.
Wow, that was complex. Supposed to be set up as a surprise, and transportation was a little crazy. You should come down to the board meeting. Just be good for these schools, good for experience. No idea, certificate and letters, and my mentee was going to be here. I'm glad you made it, Ryan. Thank you all. Thank you.
The next item is 2.09 School and Community Highlights. And I'm not sure we have any school or community highlights. Oh, Dr. Olato does. The rest of the schools were on break.
I got the great opportunity to visit Hillsmere Elementary School yesterday. Some of you may have seen it on several of the news channels and the news release that through a partnership and writing for a grant with Verizon, the school received a $10,000 check yesterday to implement STEM in the classroom at the elementary school. We had a visit from Speaker Bush and Delegate McMillan, as well as representatives from Verizon. I got a chance to greet the kids, and we got to visit a 3rd grade and a 4th grade classroom, and it was just fabulous. It was a great way to begin the new year. The kids were very much engaged, and it really fits in well with our strategic initiatives and bringing more rigorous and innovative teaching into the classrooms, particularly at the elementary level. So I was delighted to be a part of that and delighted to have this opportunity to write for the grant and partnership with Verizon. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Item 2.10, the CAC report. No report today. So we're going to take a short break to do pictures, and we'll be back for public comment. All right, we're ready for the public comment portion of the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak on an item not on today's agenda may offer testimony during this public portion of the meeting. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes each, and the board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing the meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. This time is intended for speakers to voice their opinion and not necessarily as a question and answer period. Speakers may pose questions, but answers will be counted toward the 3-minute allotment. For the record, please give your name before speaking, and handouts should be given to the board assistant. I only have one card for Lisa Van Buskirk.
Good morning again. I'm Lisa Van Buskirk with Start School Later, Anne Arundel County. I'm not here to discuss next year's budget. I'm here to discuss the current year's budget for a change, and namely that's the transportation software. Dr. Arlato discussed some of the answers to the questions I'm going to pose last night with one of my fellow volunteers, but I would like to ask them in a public forum so that the answers can, whenever they come out, can be addressed in the public forum. So I'll reiterate my questions from December 16th and add a few new ones. Can the public have an update on the implementation status of the transportation software? When will the analysts be hired? What are the project milestones? When will it be ready to run parallel scenarios? When will it be ready to run start time scenarios? Will AACPS be able to meet its stated February 3rd deadline of providing an update to the board on the efficiencies determined by utilization of the bus routing software? As previously stated, I think it was June. And if you're unable to meet the February deadline, when will the software be ready? Will the software be used in the implementation of option A? And would you consider adding a community liaison to your project team in the interest of transparency? I have 2 to 3 people who know software implementation and data management who'd be willing to assist. And is there someone to whom I should forward their names? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board at this time? Okay. The next item on the agenda is administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the personnel listed on the attached sheet be promoted and or appointed.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.02, personnel. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.03, sabbatical leave. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the sabbatical leave request be approved.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 900. And we'll move on to policy revisions, 3rd readings. There are 5 third readings. The first one is 4.04, holidays, special observance, policy GAH. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of policy GAH, subject to final correction for style and format.
Second.
All those in favor? Or is there any public comment? I'm sorry. Any public comment on this item? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 5.05 is the agenda preparation and distribution policy BCA, 3rd reading. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the approval of policy BCA, subject to final correction for style and format.
Is there any public comment on this item? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.06, board policy dissemination policy BFA. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of policy BFA, subject to final correction for style and format.
Second.
Is there any public comment on this item? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.07 is the compensation and benefits of the superintendent policy CBC. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
I recommend approval of policy CBC, subject to final correction for style and format.
Second.
Is there any public comment on this item? All those in favor? Motion passes 900. Item 4.08, policy CC, administrative organization. Dr. Olato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend approval of policy CC, subject to final correction for style and format.
So moved.
Is there any public comment on this item? All those in favor? Debbie, are you in favor? Motion passes 900. Now we have 3 first readings. Policy, or item 409, policy redistricting and attendance areas JAA. You have a short presentation.
The Facilities Division and the Chief Operating Officer bring policy JAA, redistricting and attendance areas, to you for first reading. This policy was last updated April 20th, 2011. The updated policy establishes procedures to govern the formation of and adjustment to school attendance areas. The policy will be posted on our website for 30 days for public comment, and we will answer any questions you have related to this policy.
I don't have any board questions. Is there any public comment? All right, so we'll put it on the internet for 30 days and get back for second reading. Thank you. Item 4.10 is policy on independent study, IGB.
The Divisions of Advanced Studies and Programs, Curriculum and Instruction, and Instructional Data bring you policy IGB, independent study, to you for first reading. This policy was last updated May 20th, 1991. The updated policy and the new regulation established procedures for student participation in the independent study program. The policy will be posted on our website for 30 days for public comment, and we'll answer any questions you have related to this policy.
I don't have any board questions. Is there any public comment? Okay, we'll put it on the web for 30 days. And the last of the 3 is 4.11, the general responsibilities for students with disabilities, policy IL.
The Department of Special Education brings policy IL. This policy was last updated May 4th, 1994. The updated policy and new regulation provide the board's commitment to ensuring special education services, supports, and accommodations are provided to students as determined by the student's IEP team. The policy will be posted on our website for 30 days public comment, and we'll answer any questions you have related to this policy. And I misspoke. There's not a regulation. It's just a policy. Sorry for that.
I don't have any board questions. Is there any public comment? Okay, we'll post that one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to review items. Item 5.01, recruitment, retention, and workforce diversity report. And we have a presentation.
Good morning, Dr. Arlotto, board members. For the record, I'm Flori Bozzella, Executive Director of Human Resources. And with me today are several colleagues who will each be providing you information regarding the recruitment and retention of employees, particularly teachers, in our school district. In advance of today's presentation, board members received a data packet which provides detailed information regarding many of the items which will be addressed in today's presentation. That data packet will be posted on the website later today. As you hear from my colleagues today about the successes and challenges of recruitment and retention in our district, keep in mind that the racial and ethnic diversity of our teachers is a nationwide challenge as the diversity of student populations change. Student populations, including those here in Anne Arundel County, have shown increased diversity. School districts across the country are responding to these changes by active, concentrated efforts to increase the diversity of their teaching staff. This challenge, however, comes at a time when enrollment in teacher preparation programs is declining. The state of Maryland, as you may recall, has historically been considered an import state with regard to the hiring of teachers. Each year, it produces fewer teachers than the number needed to fill the vacancies in our 24 school districts. Since 2013 to 2014, there was an 11.9% decrease in the number of students enrolled in teacher prep programs in the state of Maryland. Despite the reality of these facts, we have many good things happening here when we successfully recruit close to 600 teachers each year. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Ms. Shanika Moore.
Good morning. My name is Shanika Moore, Workforce Diversity Specialist for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. I am here to provide you with an overview of our diversity recruitment and retention efforts over the past year. It is no secret that AACPS faces many of the same challenges as other districts when it comes to recruiting and retaining a highly qualified and diverse staff. National statistics show us that fewer college students are majoring in teacher education, and the pool is even smaller when we look at diverse applicants. Therefore, we must find creative ways to identify qualified candidates from both traditional and non-traditional routes. Overall, minority teachers make up only 17% of educators nationally, and a quick look at the Mid-Atlantic region specifically drops those numbers down to 6.8%. We also know that retaining top teachers remains both a challenge and top priority for school systems across the country. As the economy and job market continue to rebound, we find that teachers are more likely to leave their current districts in search of newer opportunities and higher salaries. Anne Arundel County, for example, has a higher cost of living and housing cost than some neighboring areas. We also have a lower starting salary than some Maryland counties. To combat these challenges, this year, we are working with the Department of Partnerships, Development, and Marketing to find and develop new community partners and offer more discounts for our employees. We are hopeful that the new negotiated agreement with our teachers union, allowing us to recognize more previous teaching experience from our new hires, will aid in our recruitment efforts. Each year, our recruitment staff heads to college campuses and career events across the country in search of talented educators. During each of the events, we are constantly asked the same question: why should I work for Anne Arundel County Public Schools? Our answer to this question is crucial in our attempt to recruit the best and brightest candidates to our district. There are several areas we can highlight for teachers considering our district. Our Right Start Advisor program provides teachers with less than 3 years of experience a mentor. Our Office of Professional Growth and Development provides numerous opportunities for both new teachers and seasoned staff. We have excellent benefits with an extremely low employee contribution. Our tuition reimbursement program allows teachers to obtain financial assistance as they pursue advanced degrees. We have numerous partnerships with local colleges and universities. And finally, Anne Arundel County's location, centrally located between the two major cities of Baltimore and Washington, D.C., is one of our biggest selling features. 58% of teachers who completed our new teacher survey cited this as a factor that most attracted them to AACPS. Let's review our most recent hiring season. AACPS received over 8,000 applications for teaching positions with our district. During the 2015-2016 recruitment season, as of October 8th, AACPS hired 636 teachers for vacant positions. This represents a whopping 82% of total employees hired since July 1st. It is also worth noting that of those teachers hired, 18 were AACPS employees working in other areas who became certified teachers. The majority of these employees were former teaching assistants. In addition, 50 of our new hires were graduates of AACPS schools, and 50 were former student interns in our county. These numbers demonstrate that nearly 20% of our new hires have had a personal relationship with AACPS and represent the beginning of a Grow Your Own program. For many years, we have worked on increasing the number of new teachers in underrepresented groups. We are pleased to report a 2% increase in the number of diverse teachers and a nearly 4.5% increase in the number of male teachers hired versus the same time during the 2014-15 recruitment period. These successes have helped us to progress in increasing the overall diversity of our workforce, which currently stands at slightly over 20%. AACPS employs numerous strategies to attract the best teachers to our district. During the 2015-16 hiring season, AACPS offered 130 open contracts, which are early offers of employment given to top candidates to help lock them into positions earlier in the hiring season. Top diverse applicants were specifically targeted to receive open contracts, as we are already aware of their high demand. Open contracts are also especially helpful for candidates who are considering relocation. 60 candidates accepted our open offers, which represents an acceptance rate of 46%. 26% of the candidates who accepted our open contracts were diverse applicants. Our recruitment staff attended 40 college and teacher ed job events this past hiring season in 8 states. 45% of these trips were to states outside of Maryland. We once again capitalized on the annual Maryland Education Recruitment Consortium Job Expo, also known as MERC, not only by attending the event, but by holding our own after MERC job fair the next day at North County High School. The MERC job fair brings candidates from across the country together that are interested in working in Maryland schools. Many of the open contracts extended were done so at our MERC job fair, where many principals and other AACPS staff joined us. And finally, our Teacher Diversity Recruitment Weekend remains one of our strongest initiatives in bringing diverse educators into AACPS. In its 6th year, nearly 200 teachers have attended our diversity weekends, and with a job acceptance rate of 70%, the program has proven to be extremely successful. Teachers eligible to attend our diversity weekend will fall into one of the following 3 categories: educators from underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, male educators professionally certified in elementary or early childhood education, educators of all races certified in hard-to-fill areas such as math, chemistry, physics, technology education, and world and classical language. Funded through grants and business partnerships, this exciting 4-day event allows prospective teacher candidates to tour our schools, meet with administrators, and learn about our community. Candidates attend a community information fair where they can connect with resources vital to those considering relocating to our area, as well as mingle with AACPS senior leadership at various events throughout the weekend. Our principals have the opportunity to interview these candidates during an invitation-only job fair and can provide our recruitment staff with immediate feedback on candidates they wish to hire for their buildings. In 2015, AACPS welcomed 28 educators from 10 states to this one-of-a-kind 4-day experience. We are excited to report that 25 of the 28 educators in attendance accepted employment with AACPS and are currently working in our schools. Since many of you have not been able to witness firsthand this amazing event, we would like to show you a brief excerpt from a recruitment video recently created to highlight this unique experience. After today, this video will be posted on our website as a way to attain even more interest in attending this annual event.
The diversity weekend has confirmed my decision. I really want to work for this county. I think it's amazing.
I want to come to Anne Arundel County because I love it.
Everyone was welcoming and happy that I was here, and I felt like this could be home for me.
I was really just blown away by all the support that the county here gives its teachers, and it really made me want to work here.
The opportunities that were given to me while I was here was just great, phenomenal, the best.
Somebody asked me earlier, so we've taken a look at you, Dr. Ollie. We've kind of gotten a feel for what Anne Arundel County can offer us as educators. What are you looking for? I'm looking for teachers that know and love their craft.
I'm looking for amazing people.
I'm looking for passion.
I'm looking for people that want to collaborate. But I guess most important for me, for us here in Anne Arundel County, is that you really want and know and love your kids.
Are you the kind of teacher we're looking for in Anne Arundel County? Apply to attend our next Teacher Diversity Recruitment Weekend.
Really, really, really good people have choices in life, right? When you're really good at what you do, you got choices. You all are here because you're really, really good at what you do. And we want you with us. My expectation of you is that I'm going to see you at new teacher orientation.
I would now like to introduce Ms. Fatima Smith, an attendee of our 2013 Diversity Weekend and currently an English teacher at Old Mill High School, to share her experience in attending this weekend and its impact on her decision to work for AACPS.
Good morning. My name is Fatima Smith. I am a teacher at Old Mill High School. I met Ms. Moore at my university's job fair in Alabama at Alabama State University. I was completing my master's program, and I had trouble and tons of decisions for my future to make. I attended the Diversity Weekend in 2013, in which I was inspired to relocate to Anne Arundel County. During that weekend, participants were provided an opportunity to explore the county, gain insight on the education system, network in more ways than one. I felt drawn to the county first from the hospitality provided by our hosts for the weekend, and I immediately became sold during our school tours. We actually visited Old Mill High School, and I knew immediately that I would be working there. I connected with some of the employees and asked a number of questions to the teachers who were currently working and employed there. When we met with the principal, I knew I belonged on his team because of his beliefs, not only with his students, but with his staff. He spoke on the school's mission and his expectations. What took the cake for me was how much he cared about his employees and their well-being. My goal during the weekend was not to find a job or secure a career, but to find a place to call home. The atmosphere in Old Mill High School was very welcoming. The relationships among the students and teachers, as well as the principal and his staff, was just so positive. I knew I would be able to call Old Mill home. Almost 3 years later, I still feel like Old Mill is my home. I have the best administrative support here, and I feel valued, not just as a teacher, but as a human being. If it wasn't for Diversity Weekend, I would have never been able to sort of test the waters before jumping in, and I appreciate that provided experience. Within my short time here, I have accomplished a number of things through the help and support of this county. I'm currently finishing my certification for administration because the county believes in helping their employees obtain further education. I have developed in my profession from the support provided in the county as well as in my personal life. Diversity Weekend is a really great program, and there's so much to gain from the experience in just one weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatima. While the initiatives that we have discussed have yielded AACPS success, we know there is always more that we can do. I will now turn the presentation over to Ms. Christine Brown, Recruitment Manager, to discuss some of our recruitment initiatives moving forward.
Good morning. I'm here with you today to present some of our recruitment goals as we move forward. We plan to build upon our past practices and look to expand our applicant pool through a few new initiatives. Our focus remains on open and honest communication. We strive to ensure all candidates feel they have a partner in our human resources team and leave each and every interaction with the knowledge they are wanted here in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. We're excited to bring social media into our recruitment strategy. Social media is proving to be the future of recruiting, with 65% of reporting organizations sourcing new hires through social media within the last year. We believe leveraging social media in our recruitment strategy will allow us to personally connect with the candidates we cannot easily reach. As we realize the need to expand our recruitment to find diverse candidates as well as those in hard-to-fill areas, social media will allow us to connect to the locations to which we cannot travel. Through social media, we hope to post job opportunities on LinkedIn,
share stories of what teaching in Anne Arundel County Public Schools is like on Twitter, and share pictures of our schools and community on Instagram. Social media will allow us to create relationships far and wide. It should allow us to respond to candidate questions significantly faster and offer a more casual route for the exchange of information. As you heard earlier, our website continues to be the main springboard for applications. Our Human Resources New Teacher Survey noted 57% of responding new hires started their relationship with Anne Arundel County Public Schools by visiting our website. To build upon this positive experience, we will revamp our current recruitment page. Our goal is to provide the candidate with all of the necessary information they may need throughout the job search and candidate experience. We will increase our focus on highlighting our excellent benefit offerings, emphasizing our new teacher support programs, which is something many new hires ask about, and sharing links to information about living or relocating to Anne Arundel County. The new recruitment page will share our schedule of recruiting events to allow candidates that one-on-one personal interaction if they are able to attend a scheduled event. Once a candidate makes the decision to apply for a position, we will continue this relationship through evolving communication and a seamless application process. The candidate experience will be monitored and evaluated to ensure all applicant needs are met and to make any necessary changes or improvements. Our partnerships remain an integral benefit to the recruitment process. As we learned through the Human Resources New Teacher Survey, our location remains a significant reason candidates consider Anne Arundel County Public Schools, with 58% of the respondents noting location was very much a factor in their decision to accept a position. We will continue to build partnerships with the community to demonstrate what Anne Arundel County has to offer and to share why the school system and the county are wonderful places to work and live. In addition, our partnerships with colleges and universities allow us to recruit and hire the top new teachers. We will work towards building upon the wonderful partnerships we have formed through the years while evaluating the necessary data to determine if new locations are feasible and beneficial. These partnerships will also build our career changer programs to meet the needs of the non-traditional new teacher. We will create new partnerships and locate the next group of top teachers both virtually and through our recruitment strategies. As our superintendent stated in his recent budget address, we are proud of the awesome teachers that fill our schools. Our goal with regards to recruitment remains to grow our candidate base with awesome new employees, ensuring we have the best possible teachers in front of our students each and every day. New strategies will help build upon our past success and share all Anne Arundel County Public Schools has to offer as we recruit the best and brightest for our children. I will now pass you over to Mr. Bill Goodman, Senior Manager of Human Capital Management, to share information regarding turnover and teacher retention.
Good morning. While our recruitment team utilizes numerous strategies to hire the best teachers, we must do equally as much to keep them working in our district. We are all aware of the challenges that face school districts when it comes to retaining teachers. This challenge is even greater when you consider the smaller numbers of diverse educators within our system and their high demand in all areas around the country. As you heard from Dr. Arlotto in the video clip, really good people have choices and where they choose to work, and we need to keep our best teachers here. In 2014-15, overall employee turnover in Anne Arundel County Public Schools was 9.3%, while teacher turnover was slightly higher at 10%. While we recognize that some turnover is unavoidable, we must determine the factors that we can impact. There are various consequences to employee turnover, and we know, both through numerous studies and personal experience, that teacher turnover has a negative effect on student performance. Not to mention the countless hours of training and professional development time lost when a teacher leaves our county, as well as the cost of recruiting, hiring, and training a new teacher to work in our district. The Anne Arundel County Public School Exit Survey, which the board receives quarterly, provides HR with important feedback on the reasons why employees separate. This data helps Human Resources and the Office of School Performance to explore issues identified by employees. The top 5 reasons for separation provided by all employees who left during the 2014-15 school year have been provided. This survey was sent to over 450 separated employees and had a response rate of 62%, which is fairly high. A review of the data regarding new teachers hired for the 2014-15 school year shows that Anne Arundel County Public Schools retain nearly 85% of professionally certified minority teachers and more than 90% of professionally certified non-minority teachers for a second school year. However, when looking at conditionally certified teachers, which are quite often career changers during the same period of time, we found the following. Only 65% of conditionally certified minority teachers and 69% of conditionally certified non-minority teachers remain with Anne Arundel County Public Schools for that second year. Based on this information, we recognize that our approach to retention must be differentiated for professionally certified and conditionally certified teachers. For example, conditionally certified teachers in many cases will have less classroom experience and may not have benefited from a student teaching experience prior to stepping into their classroom as a full-time teacher. These teachers are also less likely to be familiar with the educational terminology used frequently in our schools, and all of these issues add stress and time during their first year of teaching. This year, in order to help address these issues, the first Conditional Teacher Professional Development Day was held. The goal of this day was to provide conditionally certified teachers hired this school year additional professional development in areas that are critical to their success in the classroom. 50% of eligible teachers attended the voluntary sessions, which included topics on classroom management, planning for instruction, and parent communication. Feedback from those in attendance cited numerous strategies they learned and are excited to implement within their classrooms. We are also using a number of other strategies to help improve the overall retention of our teachers. We're using social media to connect teachers earlier in the hiring process, and in June of 2015, Anne Arundel County Public Schools launched a new teacher Facebook page. This page provided new teachers hired for the upcoming school year a chance to connect with each other as well as obtain vital information as they transition into our area. And at this time, we have over 200 new teachers who have joined that page to date. We have also reinstated an optional mentorship program for new diverse educators. The LEADS program, which stands for Linking Educators to Ensure Development and Success, is a partnership between Human Resources and the Anne Arundel Alliance of Black School Educators. The program provides new teachers the option to obtain some additional supports, and we continue to identify Anne Arundel County Public School employees who are members of fraternities and sororities and can provide additional supports to new teachers who are also members of those organizations. We are working with the Department of Partnerships, Development, and Marketing to explore holding networking events for new teachers to connect with other educators in social settings outside of their buildings. And we will use the data from our new teacher survey as well as live feedback from conversations with new teachers to determine the type of events that would be of most interest to them. HR is working closely with our Right Start Advisor program, who meet regularly with our new teachers to obtain more feedback on how new teachers are acclimating during their first year. HR staff also visit schools in the fall and winter to meet with principals, teachers, and students so they have the best understanding on how to fill the individual staffing needs for each school. We hope to use this feedback to provide additional supports and interventions when possible to keep teachers from leaving our school district. And lastly, HR continues to work with administrators in our schools to provide information and feedback on building a positive school culture. This includes various ways they can recognize teachers within their buildings. Our goal today has been to provide you with some strategies AACPS uses to recruit and retain our teachers. As we've heard our superintendent say numerous times, people are our most important asset, and ensuring that the right people come and remain in front of our children is our ultimate goal. We continue to look for ways to attract and maintain qualified and diverse employees for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And that concludes our presentation for today, and we are happy to take any questions at this time.
Mrs. Ritchie?
A couple things. Thank you all. That was very exciting to be able to hear these things we know that are happening and to be able to put some things to that. I had the opportunity one time to join, well, a couple times, to join the applicants from the diversity weekend. And when we were talking about things about the Right Start advisors particularly, I remember them being very excited about that and excited that it was not just a one and done kind of deal, that it was a couple of years that they got to have the Right Start advisor to help them to do that. They really loved the fact that they got to be able to go through the different schools, and they were real excited about a lot of the different initiatives and programs that we had. So I got to have positive feedback, from them, learning about that and so forth. And you talk about location, and I don't necessarily think that well, we might be able to do something about this, but you've heard me talk about it before about affordable housing. This is different than Section 8 housing. This is affordable housing to allow people who are in the workforce, not only our teachers, but also fire employees, police officers, so forth. So I just want to read this real quick excerpt from an AP article that was in, we get a, from the NSBA, our National School Board Association. They send out a little newsletter, everything. So it reports that school districts in high cost of living areas and rural communities that have long struggled to staff classrooms are considering buying or building rent subsidized apartments. I don't suggest we do that. As a way to attract and retain teachers amid concerns of looming shortages. The AP reports that the Los Angeles Unified School District opens its first apartment complex on school grounds for district employees this year. Meanwhile, according to the AP, school districts in Oakland, Milwaukee, Odessa, Texas, Asheville, North Carolina have similar plans in works. So this is a really viable thing, and this is something, so when we're talking about location, I don't advocate at all, Dr. Arlotto, that we buy any housing things, but we have a lot of, with our marketing partners and community partners and stuff, we have a lot of relationships with builders and developers and things, and so I think it would behoove us to start that conversation. We can try to wait for county government to do that, but I don't think that'll happen. So I think that we really need to start rolling out this, because that's one of the things. Being the parent of a student who went to school here and now works here in our school system, looking for a home, because when they're 25, they want to go out on their own, whether you're coming from, out of state or whether you live here. One of our problems is trying to find houses that you can live in without, having to take second and third jobs. And the apartments that we live in, nice, but you can't afford to live in an apartment without 3 or 4 roommates because you can't afford to save to buy your own home. So I think that's something that we really have to look at as a part of bringing people in, because people do want to live here now. Not everybody can live in Annapolis, and and that's where everybody wants to live, right on the water. That can't happen, but we've got a lot of shorelines in Anne Arundel County, so I'm sure we can find someplace else they could go. But so that was one of the things that I hope that we start looking at and investigating a little further. And when they talked about the open contract, what were some of the reasons why they declined to accept the open contract? Were there any reasons?
I think choices, mostly. So you have people who, it was early in the process and we were trying to lock them in, and they had many people that were definitely entertaining them coming to their county. So they had choices and wanted to wait on those things.
Okay. Did some of them eventually take it, or did they just, even if they may not have taken the open contract, did they eventually take an opportunity to come here, or did they not come at all?
Yeah, I think what happened is we had, I think there were people who already had in their mind sort of places they wanted to go, and they were entertaining open offers and did not come. But then we also had people with the personal connections that we made and then stayed in touch with throughout the entire process that did end up coming to us.
Okay.
Within a short window, obviously.
Yeah, so they may not have come under the open contract, but they may have then accepted a contract later on that may have, can't be in that one because it won't, it doesn't justify, they didn't do that, so. Well, you can ask that question. I know. Okay. Well, she wants to know what an open contract is.
So an open contract is a term of employment, basically that they're guaranteed a job, just not at any particular school at that time. So it tells them they're going to be here, and then they come in and they can look at a school that's the best fit for them.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of stuff going on about challenge schools and so forth. So do we have any initiatives in place through recruitment and retention that we're talking about, how to encourage people to stay beyond money? Money is always the thing, but there's other things that we can do as well. So are there other things that we're trying to think about doing for especially those that are working in some of the really challenging schools in order to retain them in those schools?
So one of the issues that sometimes comes up is many of our new hires want to be in Title I schools because they have student loan forgiveness opportunities, and so that keeps people there because they have to be working in a high need school. So we haven't seen a real problem in being able to recruit people to go to those high need schools. In fact, many of our candidates asked to go, and Shanika would probably agree with me that many of the diverse candidates asked to go to schools that are high needs because they want to give back to the community and they recognize the need for diverse candidates to be in those schools.
And one of the other things that we did this year is we started a cohort with some of the more challenging schools in the Annapolis cluster to provide some additional support to those principals, really targeting the new hires that they had, knowing that their school years might be a little bit more challenging due to the populations that they're working with. And so we contacted those principals individually and asked them about each of their new hires and what additional resources did they think they needed, and offered to assist them through human resources in any way possible to provide those additional resources for those teachers.
I'm just going to piggyback really quick on Debbie's question because I had it too. Last night at the budget hearing, we had a lot of teachers saying that they couldn't afford to work here and live here and pay student loans. And I wondered how many of those teachers who maybe aren't at challenge schools even know that there is a student loan forgiveness program that they could perhaps ask to transfer to a Title I school to help with that part of their budget.
I believe most of the teachers that have a student loan forgiveness option know that when they take out those loans, because we see an increased number of paperwork that comes through, and the first thing that comes through is attesting that they are working for us. And then after they've satisfied a certain term of the loan, many are 120 payments towards the loan before they can get forgiveness. So I think that the folks coming to us that have that option for student loan forgiveness know that when they arrive.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Hummer.
Yes, thank y'all. This is very informative. I have a couple of questions. When, for instance, on social media or when people are applying online, do y'all have a timeline target goal for when you contact each of those contacts, that you reach out to them so that they get a firsthand response from a person?
We don't necessarily have a specific timeline. Obviously, our goal is to communicate with them as soon as possible, which is part of the reason we want to add the social media aspect to it. So if it's during our crunch time when we're screening a lot of applicants, but also placing candidates and interviewing candidates and all of that, the social media aspect can keep them a little more engaged and offer that additional support and communication that they might need. So if they do have a question that maybe they're a little more hesitant to contact a specific person in human resources, they can reach out to us via social media.
Can I interject here a minute? Yeah. I think maybe one of the issues that you're asking is, like, if somebody applies to us, are they hearing from us? Right. So when someone applies, they get an immediate email response from us acknowledging their application, that we have received it, and then they get a follow-up email response for us thanking them for their application to the specific position to which they've applied, and letting them know that they need to send a professional reference form, which we attach to that email, to their professional references, and letting them know if they haven't already uploaded certain documents that we need, transcripts, praxis, test scores, that they need to do that. So we then monitor that as they're going through the various stages of completing their application, because once we have enough information, then we email them and ask them to schedule a screening interview with us, unless we've already met them on the road through a recruitment event. So is that really what you were looking for?
It's kind of a combination to find that.
And our goal, obviously, is as quickly as possible. That's what we
Right.
probably should have led with. It depends on maybe the subject of the opening of the job with the amount of people in the actual pool, but as quickly as we can, we need to make the personal connection.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Now, talking about the career changers that you have come in, are there specific recruitment things for career changers? I'm thinking of like military, like retired in our area with the retired military. Do they actually have some job fairs that bring in people that are interested?
I'll let Shanika.
We actually have attended some events. We are a part of Troops to Teachers, and we are at Higher and Advanced County. And what that means is that if a officer or a military person is separating within the next 2 years and they know that they want to go into teaching, we can actually hire them in advance, and they would have kind of like an open contract, and within those 2 years, they need to be working toward the parameters for certification. I also attend various events in the area. Troops to Teachers has actually combined their offices. There used to be a representative for the Maryland, D.C. area. Those offices are now combined from about Delaware all the way down to Virginia, and they're actually located a little bit further away. But every time they're going to be at the Naval Academy, any of the Fort Meade, or any of the local installations, we receive an invitation to actually go and speak to the retiring or separating officers and let them know about opportunities that are available. And Troops to Teachers also speaks to them about the financial assistance they can receive from the government if they choose to go into teaching.
Okay. Now, with the career changers, do you find, y'all may not know this, I'm just curious, that the career changers, are they more often going into some of our critical areas like math and sciences or special education?
Yeah, I think we see that quite a bit, obviously, because of whatever they were usually doing in their previous field. And we addressed it a little bit, but that learning curve is so steep for them coming in. So typically it is going to be more in your critical need areas in secondary schools.
And hold on, let me read my notes if I can find out. You said that we have a lower retention rate with the career changers. For various reasons. Did they get, I love the conditional teacher workshop and things you've done to try to reach out to them. Did they also, I'm sure they're covered under Right Start. Did they get some extra attention from our Right Start advisors? No, it's about.
No, they get the same support that we're able to deliver. That's, our Right Start advisors are assigned to schools based on the number of new teachers that are are there in the new schools. So some schools may have a full-time Right Start advisor. Some may have several schools that they do. But in speaking with Andrea Zamora from the Office of Professional Growth and Development, we have been talking about providing more opportunities for these conditionally certified teachers earlier next year, and also doing some differentiation at new teacher orientation. When we met with the new teachers at the conditional workshop, we asked them about possibly doing something earlier. And many of them said that they didn't really know what they didn't know until they got into their classrooms. So they wanted to have an opportunity to get to their classrooms. But even with that, we're going to separate the group of conditionally certified teachers that have never had any prior teaching experience for a separate session next year during new teacher orientation, and then try to get them together on a more regular basis. Title II, which is for highly qualified teachers, would provide some funds for those teachers to attend that. And we're actually looking and talking with a community college now about possibly scheduling a voluntary one on Election Day in April so that we can bring those folks back again and possibly get more people to come because the feedback has been so positive.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Dr. Frank.
Thank you all for being here, and certainly the quality of our school system depends directly on the quality of the teachers that we have. Could somebody give me an idea of the number of teachers that we need and how that compares with the past years?
Are you talking each year?
Well, how many do we need this year, and is it more or less than last year and the year before that?
The number seems to fluctuate around 600 to 700 each year. That seems to be a standard number. We had one year where I believe we hired over 900 teachers, but in 2008, when the economy had some challenges, we were able to keep more people in place. But it seems to be consistently around that 600 mark. So we actually do projections and start to look at the number of conditionally certified teachers that we have on staff right now, because we know that those folks may or may not come back, and we know what we typically see in terms of turnover, and that will drive how we go out about recruitment.
So you said 600 teachers. What percent of that, of the total staff, is 600?
Well, we have about 6,200 teachers total, so That's 10%.
Okay, that's 10%. So going forward, we would project that we're going to need 10% additional teachers every year. So what seems to be the problem with supply and demand? Are teachers looking for something that we're not able to provide? The reason that they don't stay here, or perhaps other school districts as well?
Well, if you look at the exit survey chart that we showed, and I believe it's in your packet as well, over 50% of the people that are leaving us for unavoidable reasons. Family obligations, it's no secret that we have a large female workforce, and many of them elect to stay home and raise their family at a certain point in time. We do have some people, I believe it's about 12% of those separated, said because of salary. Some said, issues with their supervisor or their principal. The majority of people that left us, however, were for issues that we can't avoid. They are going back. And one of the challenges for us in Maryland is because Maryland doesn't produce enough teachers in our state, we import people. So we hire people whose home is someplace else. They get a job with us and they wait for an opportunity to get a job back in their home state, and they go back with the experience. And in today's world, we have a lot of people who financially can't make it, and why they don't tell us salary is the reason they're leaving, it certainly could be a factor. It's not the one they identify primarily, but they may go back to home to live with parents because they can't afford to buy a house here.
So if we could provide additional salaries, that might provide additional recruitment and additional staying power?
I believe the board heard loud and clear last night from teachers that salary is an important issue. It's not the only issue, though. I think benefits is really important, and we've had firsthand conversations with teachers who left us to go to a neighboring jurisdiction and realized that what they were paying for benefits was more than what they paid here, and they've returned to us. So what we're trying to do is make sure we're capitalizing on the things that attract people to Anne Arundel County Public Schools, our location, the supports, the personal attention, as you heard from Fatima, that she got when she came through the diversity recruitment, and making sure that our schools are continuing to do that. As Bill said, we're working with principals and giving them ideas to recognize and reward their employees that are there, because it's tough work anywhere you go, but we have a really good feel with our employees, and we want to capitalize on that.
Should we perhaps change our recruiting strategy, perhaps to different states or different personnel? I realize the superintendent of schools can't go out and recruit new teachers. He has a lot of other things to do, but would something like that help in recruiting teachers?
Well, we're constantly evaluating where we go to recruit. Christine Brown, who's our recruitment manager, will be talking with many college prep programs for teacher ed and looking at the number of students enrolled in their teacher ed program and the diversity of those students in those programs, so that we can ascertain where we need to focus our attention. We've changed over the years, where if we go someplace and we don't get a good yield or we don't get anybody interested, we're not going to go back there. So we're constantly evaluating that, and we invite different administrators each year to join us. So we do have a variety of people that go out on the road with us so that we can appeal to the new hires that are interested in coming to us.
Last question, is there a particular time of the year that it's a good time to go, just as these students are about to graduate? Is that a good time to try to recruit them?
That might be a little late. We're starting our recruitment trips. Christine, help me. Are we starting in February?
We do. We start late January, February for a few. Those months are pretty sparse. And then March and April are our big rush, I would say, of recruitment events.
Thank you all for your help very much.
Thank you guys for your presentation. I know you work incredibly hard every year to round up 600 to 700 new teachers for us. And we also know that money talks, and that paying competitive wages is an investment in our entire county, not just our school system. So we will be working, of course, as always, with our unions and our county executive and our county council to do what we can to help make that part of your job a little bit easier. Is Mrs. Ritchie?
Well, I just wanted to do a paid advertisement here real quick. We talked about 50 students that came back to us and taught here. The Board of Education has set up and is actively encouraging people to donate, if they would so choose, to a scholarship fund that we hope to be able to put into place once we get the seed money, to be able to send at least 2 students that we have identified as high needs areas, because the needs may change in years to come. And so anybody in the listening audience with who would like to make a contribution, we would gladly accept that, so that we can start looking to help to fund, because we want to put our money where our mouth is as well, and say that, you know, we want our students to come back and teach in our county and be a part of our system, as well as to live in our county. And so that was just a little shameless plug.
Do we have any public comment on this item at all? All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
The next review item is 5.02, the Crofton Complex Master Plan Viability Study.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Alex Shekno, Chief Operating Officer for the school district. Here to present 5.02. It's a review item concerning the Crofton Complex Master Plan Study. But before we begin, I'd like the colleagues who are joining me this morning at the table to introduce themselves for the record as well.
Lisa Seaman Crawford, Director of Facilities.
Paul Hume, Principal with GWWO Architects.
So the Anne Arundel County Public Schools owns approximately 154.8 acres located along Maryland Route 424 in Crofton. And the site presently is jointly used by the Anne Arundel County Public School System for the Crofton Middle School, as well as the Anne Arundel County Department of Recreation and Parks. As part of its FY 2016 budget adoption, the Anne Arundel County government commissioned a viability and co-location study in collaboration with Anne Arundel County Public Schools and the Anne Arundel County Department of Recreation and Parks. The study explored options for the maximum long-term beneficial public use of the site and included the future placement of a high school, 2 middle schools, and an elementary/special education center, along with the recreation and parks facilities. I'd like to turn the microphones over to my colleagues to walk you through the presentation and the materials that are part of your exhibit this morning.
Okay, Bob, you can hit the next slide. Thank you. The first slide shows the existing conditions for the Crofton Complex site. To orient you, Davidsonville Road is at the bottom. Crofton Middle School is at the right, indicated by the number 1. Moving clockwise is Linthicum Walks historic site, numbered 18 and 19. Linthicum Walks is a historic site listed on both the National Register of Historic Places and the Maryland Historic Trust Inventory. Anne Arundel County Public School has owned the property since the 1970s, and it is administered and operated by Anne Arundel County Recreation and Parks. The property consists of a single-family dwelling, a meat house, and a family cemetery. Moving to the left is Crofton Park, which provides recreational spaces for the Crofton community. It contains a number of recreational structures, play areas, and athletic fields. There's a passive area consisting of a pond with walking and jogging paths and a pavilion along with parking. An amphitheater is located there for outdoor performances and is designated by number 6. Softball fields, concession and restroom facilities, and a football field with press box round out the rest of the park. At the top of the property is Cardinal Field. It was developed in the 1980s as an athletic complex. It includes 7 softball fields and 3 multi-purpose fields. Streams, drainage channels, and stormwater management areas are indicated in blue and are numbered 20 through 22. can flip. Okay. The next slide was developed, as Alex said, to illustrate a master plan of what could fit on the property over the many years to come. Again, beginning with Crofton Middle School at the lower right-hand location of the property. This time it's indicated as number 13. And the historical site in white. We begin with a new entrance on Davidsonville Road, aligned with Layton Road. Upon entering the site, an elementary/special ed sized facility with bus loop parking fields numbered 1 through 6. Further down this new road would be a middle school sized facility with its site requirements indicated in numbers 7 through 12. Crofton Park would retain its existing entrance, and the passive activities within the park would also remain intact. The high school would be located at the top of the property where the athletic fields of the Crofton Park and Cardinal Fields were located. The building footprint is Severna Park High School, with all the parking, bus loop, stadium, and practice fields required for a high school facility. Numbered 11, the existing Crofton Park football field would be retained as part of the high school complex. A second means of accessing the site would be moved from the current Cardinal Park entrance location on Underwood Road to the roundabout on Underwood Road. We did work with recreation and park staff during this process, and they would continue to utilize our high school fields as they do at all our high schools. The final slide shows the phasing, and what we would be looking at doing first would be expanding the parking lot and bus loop for the middle school, which is much needed, and then the construction of the high school in the back part of the property. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Do we have any board questions? Mrs. Hummer?
So, just to be clear, we've mapped out this site. We do not have plans to build another middle school or an elementary school on this property in the near future.
Correct. As I said at the outset, Ms. Hummer, the project entailed us taking a look at maximizing the beneficial public use of the facility over a very long duration of land ownership. At the present time, we operate the middle school. There's no plans in place to replace or alter the middle school as it exists today. We do have a standing request as part of our FY16 budget to ask for the design funding to begin the design of the high school, what's depicted as phase 1. There are currently no plans and no requests in our superintendent recommended 6-year CIP at all with respect to an elementary school or a middle school for that facility.
Thank you.
Dr. Frank?
As a resident of Crofton and really quite familiar with this area, I would just like to ask you a number of questions so that everyone in the Crofton area is familiar with this. So please forgive my questions. Why did you make this presentation today?
We were fortunate. We have a standing request in our capital budget for the Crofton area high school, and that was identified as one of our priority 1 need areas as part of the MGT of America study when we recommissioned our countywide facilities master plan, strategic master plan. We were very fortunate in deliberating with the county executive and the county council that they recognized that both this project, the Crofton Area High School project, as well as another project within our CIP, which is the replacement of the Old Mill High School complex, are in fact, and we use the word twice in the same sentence, very complex. And in order to analyze that level of complexity, the county, again, the county government in consultation with the school district, found it advisable to put a little seed money up front to do what's called a viability study. It is not an in-depth study as we will do later on when the projects come to fruition. As I mentioned, we have a standing request in our budget for a full-fledged design and exploration for each of those projects down the road. But I've often used the word smart money. So the county and the school system deemed it appropriate to spend a very small amount of money on the front end to conduct the viability studies to determine what is the best and maximum public beneficial use of this complex. And later on we'll be presenting the Old Mill study in a similar vein. And essentially the purpose is to create a roadmap for the school district and the public, so we know not just near term, but over the future land holding that we have there, what our intentions could possibly be for that property.
Thank you very much. And one more question, just really for the public. We need to determine whether this is going to be viable. When will we determine whether it is viable for a school?
That will be part of the actual design funding. So again, we were provided a viability study, which is a master planning, which is sort of a conceptual pre-schematic study of the property. The actual full-fledged design efforts, though, we would hope to commence no later than July 1, if funded, would allow us to undertake the much more in-depth, the geotechnical, the soil borings, the true heavy, deep architectural and engineering analysis required of the property to see if in fact this configuration is viable. Does the building need to be adjusted in some manner? Do the soils need to be augmented in some manner? Do we have to take different strategies to manage the water flows or protect specimen trees, et cetera? So there is a tremendous amount of work that still lies before us. This is probably at best not even 1% of the work required to get to where we need to be.
Thank you very much for your looking at this in a very organized, well-planned manner, and I hope the community will realize that we're working on this and it's going to take a while. Thank you.
Mrs. Birch.
So, being someone who moved to Crofton in 1975, when my parents were told that there would be a Crofton High School back then, but and they were told that it would go on Cardinal Field off Underwood Road. This does tell me, though, that there really wasn't room on Cardinal Field for a high school. I mean, that's what we've been told the last few years, is that it was going to go on Cardinal Field. It would fit on Cardinal Field. We have to take away Crofton Park. That's what this says, right? Crofton Park is part of the high school now.
Well, again, I think as Ms. Seaman Crawford mentioned, we're working in collaboration. We recognize that while schools are our responsible charge, this property and all the public land in that area is really part of a much larger public portfolio. You know, there's Bell Branch Park just down the road, for example. So Rec-In Parks has been an integral entity in this whole process. And what we're trying to do is, in the end, maximize its use not just for the school district, but for the recreation and parks entities. However, there's an interim period, which you're alluding to, much like at Severna Park High School, a project currently underway. You know that we had to severely impact the athletic fields during the course of construction to allow that project to get out of the ground. And ultimately, we will reconstruct the athletic facilities, the stadium, et cetera, down the road. So this is much the same analogy. There will be a heavily impacted period while we are actively under construction, but over the course of time, we will not only improve this properties for the public use, but separate and apart from our activities, I know that Mr. Anthony, the Director of Rec and Parks, has been in conversation with the County Council and the County Administration as well about upgrading that facility, much like the...
Which facility?
Bell Branch Park, much like the county government did when we're constructing Severna Park. You know, the county government made some investments just down the road to put some synthetic turf fields so that not only our youngsters but other communities. So I believe the county government is also exploring making some investments in their park just down the road from our proposed school site. So again, help bridge that span of time. But in the end, our school would have 2 turf fields in the end, plus all those fields that are there, and the improvements that the county government under their auspices would make to Bell Branch would remain. So the community would actually be fairly further ahead at some point in the future than they are currently.
Well, except there's high school teams who will be using it first and foremost, and they will have the second. I mean, they won't have first priority anymore on most of these fields. They will now be second priority. I mean, so
we have a memorandum of understanding that governs the use of the fields we do currently. That will have to be renegotiated.
There's ups and downs. It is going onto property that we hadn't originally, that this group hadn't originally discussed. We talked about Cardinal Field, hadn't we?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I
what
think
this
that's
group
what I was
discussed.
always under the understanding of, was that it was Cardinal Field. I didn't realize we were talking about Crofton Park. I thought Crofton Park was a separate thing. Oh, I thought it was Cardinal Field. That's what I had been told for years and years and years, is that it was Cardinal Field. But, and there'll be less baseball fields, there'll be less this, there'll be less that. And I mean, as somebody who drives through Crofton a lot, I wouldn't want to go on the other side of 450 and 424 if I didn't have to, because that's horrendous. But, okay, so for a while there will be less fields and they'll have to go somewhere else. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, I just didn't realize it was taking over the whole complex. I had no idea that that was the plan. That's news to me. I didn't know. I thought we were trying to get it on the acreage over there. I had no idea. Yeah, that's really, I was very surprised when I saw it. So, okay. So, but the elementary school and middle school would not happen until some future time.
If at all. We currently
Okay.
there's no plans in any of our published CIPs that speak to what's depicted as item 7 and item number 1.
And do we know it, so you don't even know if that land up there along that creek would even be, would it be buildable? I mean, I know you've blocked off a little bit of the land alongside the creek for, like watershed.
Right. So again, that's a very, while it is a very well-informed analysis of the property, until we get into
Right.
a much more granular look at it and begin staking out the property and identifying the vegetation and taking a look at the amount of waters and the hydrology that goes through that area 12 months of the year, not just during the period that we looked
Right.
at it. So there's a lot of work ahead to a much more higher degree of specificity delineate where in fact that area would or would not be buildable.
Because this is a best case scenario. I mean, it's pretty tight on there, but with the elementary school and the middle school.
Yeah, we were trying to optimize
Yeah.
the entire portfolio of land we have there.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
I just have a quick question. Is the phase 1 parking lot for the middle school part of what we're going to be working toward next year at the same time we're doing the high school?
We would be making that part of our request for design and construction funding, because we are going to have to build the road infrastructure. That loop road that goes through the property is going to have to be constructed as part of the high school, as well as the road off of the circle, off Underwood. And so that's going to necessitate some reconfiguration of the middle school parking lot as well, reconfiguration and expansion. That, as it sits today, that parking lot does not serve either the car or the bus traffic suitably. It's not only is it undersized, but some of the orientation and turning radiuses of that parking lot are not conducive to the vehicle load that we have today. And so in addition to realigning the driveway and making it robust enough that it can serve not just the middle school and the high school, we're going to undertake some of those middle school parking lot additions as well.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? Come on up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Ken Barasmus. I can normally be heard.
Just let the TV cameras want to see your face. If you just let us know your name and
My name
address.
is Ken Borowski, and I'm the president of the Crofton Colony Homeowners Association. We have several members here today. We are a 62-home, over 55 community that's located just on the northwest, right behind where that high school is going to be, with about 4 multi-purpose fields right behind the houses. We are obviously very concerned about the environment, the living, the homes, et cetera, as we looked at this plan yesterday. So coincidentally, we have a homeowners association meeting tonight. I'm sure that's going to get the bumblebees flying out of the nest, but we're here today, and I just wanted to make us known.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Dr. Frank?
I just wanted to let the last speaker know that there is an organization in Crofton called the Crofton Civic Association, and there are many speakers that we have, and we would love to hear from you so that the community understands your point of view. So thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 5.03, the Minority and Small Business Enterprise Utilization Report for FY 2015. I know we don't have a presentation. Is there any board questions? Mrs. Ritchie.
Well, you know, I don't do well with math, but when things are really confusing, they're really confusing. So I'm looking at page it's page 8 of 13 on my slides here, and its title is 7 Architectural and Engineering Services. Just make me understand this. It'd be table 4. MBE Architect and Engineering Achievements.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Alex Shaknovich, Chief Operating Officer. Let me allow Ms. Avery to introduce herself as well.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Esther Leslie Avery, Financial Compliance Specialist.
So there's a number of charts and graphs in the pictorial, but specific to number 7, we track construction, we track maintenance, we track A&E services as well. Oh, I thought you weren't.
No, I did. I wouldn't. No, I hadn't asked the question.
Sure.
The question, and I think I know the answer, but I just want to be clear. On table 4, and I've seen it in a couple other things too. So, but this one, in 2014, for the MBA architect, we'll just use that one to begin with, 189,000 plus, which is 9.6% of the total. Are you saying that 9.6% of the total of 189,000 was awarded to MBA?
No, ma'am. So the total awarded to architects and engineers overall was $1.9 million. 9.6% of that total $1.968 million was awarded to MBE architects, another 5.4%. So all 590,000, all 590,000 all went to MBE architects.
Oh, and so that's 6%. I mean, that's 9.6% of the total awards.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Because over here it didn't make any sense. So $76,000, as far as I know, is less than $189,000, but that was 14%. But you're talking about the total. The numbers just didn't seem to add up to me. That's maybe in the way I was reading it, and it was in a couple of places like that.
Okay.
But you mean that's the percentage of the total
Right.
amount that was given? Okay. All right, that makes it clearer. Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item? Okay. Our last review item is 5.04, award of contracts for auditorium seating. Is there any questions from the board? Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay. The last two items are consent items, 6.01 and 6.02, award of contracts. This is an information to action item. Do I have a motion to bundle these two and move them from information to action? All those in favor? We now have an action item. Dr. Arlato, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the Board of Education award contracts as listed on today's agenda 6.01 and 6.02.
Is there any public comment on these items? All those in favor? Motion passes 9-0-0. Just have a few announcements. Tomorrow evening here in the boardroom is a budget workshop, our second, at 6 o'clock, and the signups will begin at 5 p.m. We have a next Board of Education meeting Wednesday, January 20th at 7 p.m. The next Board Policy Committee meeting is Wednesday, the 13th at 1 p.m. The next Board Budget Committee meeting will be Wednesday, the 20th at 4:30 p.m. And the Board Budget Workshop is Tuesday, January 19th at 6 p.m. And the public will be welcome to attend, but will not be able to provide comment at that time. Mrs. Nally.
I'd like to move that we go into closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.
All those in favor? We're now back in closed session. Thank you.